And he named it
Agarth wanted me to keep an eye on Lady Shear, but you and I need to have a talk first. I've been reviewing my notes of our last trip to Alabastra, and I've come to some startling conclusions about your death and Tirnoch. I don't know exactly, but it must have been a tremendously powerful source of magic. So powerful that the Well of Souls couldn't help but pick up on it. You were attuned to the well in my lab, but Hugh's well captured your essence. The power in Bale seems to have been the missing element. What's more, I think that power is the source of the Prismere crystals. Something intelligent and malignant. The creature the Tuatha called Tirnoch. Something incredibly powerful. I don't know if we even have a name for what she is, because no one's lived to name it. She's not a god. She's something much, much worse. And judging by the growth of this Prismere, she's very close to coming into our world for good. Whatever Gadflow's been doing, it's all in order to bring her here. So you've got to stop him before it's too late. When you and I came to Alabastra, we were looking for the source of the Prismere's power. I never found it, but I think you did. And that's why you died. The frosted gem at the center of Alabastra. Full of Prismere. But now it's a lot more full of enemies than it was when we snuck in there. With tremendous difficulty. Even so, there weren't as many Tuatha here, and we used magic to keep us hidden. Magic which you provided, in fact. You never did explain where you got those fascinating little artifacts. Gone, gutted, and good riddance to them. That'll teach them to stand on the wrong side of a war. You did kill them all, right? Tirnoch isn't a god. No god has ever commanded that much magic directly. Whatever, I can see why Gadflow would worship her. Imagine controlling that much raw magic.
Ventrinio insists on coming with me. Just as well. Someone should keep an eye on him. No telling where his true loyalties lie, or what he might do. I was going to sneak there by myself, but Ventrinio insists on following me. Don't worry, I'll make sure he's safe. And leave him to die? Don't be so heartless. That's my job. He'd be dead without me. And frankly, would you trust him out of your sight? I'll see you in Alabastra.
By Lyria, it was you who stood against Balor when Telera fell. Fortune favors me today. I am commander of the Ariad. Do you bring word of my reinforcements? The ash covering the ground ahead is all that remains of my men. All fallen in our assault on that pass. The Tuatha have built a gauntlet of spell-casting sentries who greeted our every advance with fire. Who says I am? Who says you are? This is Shadow Pass, youngling. Maybe we're all dead but don't know it yet. But I swear, whether I am dead or not, my spear will taste the blood of those arrogant bastards high on the rock. I will make them pay the butcher's bill for what they've done. It's just, these Tuatha wage war like none I've known. Magical fires burning my men to a cinder with a word. But if you're brave enough to challenge them, we may have a chance. They're using the terrain against us, flanking the paths from above with sorcerers. If you can neutralize these sentries, I will charge the approach myself. Together, we might be able to break their lines. I was a scout under Telera's command when Balor was first unleashed upon us. I witnessed with these eyes what that beast did to our people. For what you have done, friend, you'll never have to buy your own ale. When the Ariad chose me, I'd lost everything. My friends, my family, all consumed by war. We trained for years, preparing to take the battle to the Tuatha. Then our moment arrived, and in an instant, only I remained. Even if it means my last breath, I will see the Tuatha burn. We are called the eyes and ears of the Alfar, but the Ariad is more than that. We are the sword in the dark, the whisper of death. We serve Lyria and all her children. My men trained for years to be unleashed upon the Tuatha. Now, only I remain. I swear, before I too have fallen, winter will burn. Even after the Baelor was unleashed, I believed in Telera. She was the great general. I thought she would, in time, return from exile with our salvation. And so she did. Oh, to have been there, at her side, when she struck the demon down. Until later, then. Has begun, but we must press on lest the Tuatha secure the high ground. There are more sentries ahead. Each must be killed before we can advance. Until later, then.
Got myself a little tied up here. And is it a trick of the eye, or are these crystals growing? You should have seen Alabastra at its prime. Serene and beautiful as a sky full of stars. Just got myself tied up in some trouble with the locals. Nothing I can't handle. Honestly, I haven't had this much fun in decades. Bale was the seat of the Winter Court. Every bit as cold as Issa is warm. But they're both beautiful in their own ways. The Kerr's the closest thing vengeance has to a leader anymore. A Fae so consumed with hatred that he's little more than a beast. If you're going to get into Bale, the Kerr has to die. Doesn't look like there was much of the House of Pride left to save. And I can't imagine they were happy about a mortal doing the saving, either. Got myself a little... And is it a trick of the... Keep going.
The dust must be raised.
The skulls atop high fulgen shine, and coldly gleam in a precise line. For us who chew on hollowed bone.
Excellent work. The main Tuatha encampment lies ahead. Take cover with me there, and we'll discuss the final assault. The Tuatha are consumed by madness and deserve only death. We shall give it to them. The main Tuatha encampment lies ahead. Stay safe. The final Tuatha encampment is just ahead. It looks like they are led by the Witch Knight Decidin. I cannot deceive you. This will be a suicide mission, but we've come too far to turn back now. We need only kill Decidin, and Shadow Pass will be rid of the Tuatha. He has killed countless Alfar. When the Tuatha first pushed us across the sea, Decidin led the vanguard. I lost many friends that day, and I have not forgotten the one who slaughtered them. Until later, then. Hail, friend.
The anger festers in the heart, and perfectly you play the part of hero to the summer's west, bringing Tuatha to their rest. Why do you try so hard in vain? Why bring the others senseless pain? Don't you see, mortal, don't you see the body impaled on the tree? Will you not witness their loss and feed upon the awful dross? Or walk again past corpses new, without care for the rotting few?
That's the last of them. We've paid a heavy price, but Shadow Pass is ours. I'll make camp here until reinforcements arrive. It was an honor to fight by your side. Maybe this will help you out. Until later, then.
You must hurry. There is much to do. Gask and his forces are preparing to march. They know about the caves and will not cease until every last one of us has been slain. And there are the survivors of Eventide to consider. I have not heard a whisper from across the pass. And Esha, she plots a fool's errand. We must stop her. Much to do. Forgive me. Ever since the Tuatha came, omens of our destruction besiege me. My every notion is of escape and salvation. When he refused to worship Gadflow's god of smoke and ash, he thought first to kill us, but then chose a far grimmer fate. He made us his example. He sent Gask. First, Gask's priests destroyed the clans. Then he burned the bodies of the fallen and breathed in their essence, mocking the dead and the great cycle itself. One day, that is all Gask needed to unravel many seasons of the telling, to make the earth shudder and the sky weep. Now he sits above us, watching. Ashmore and Eventide stand astride the pass, the corridor leading from Bale to the wider world. When we refused to stand aside for him, he ripped his way through. Wonderful! Your attack will give us time to organize an escape. Do not underestimate Gask. He is among Gadflow's best for a reason. His camp of Cadsimir is to the north, but you must defeat his witch knights along with the Fae himself. I have faith in you. She was once of the House of Vengeance, and has always served as the guardian of Ashmore. But she is only one warrior against Gask's legions. Esha fears an attack, and wishes to lead survivors to safety through the caverns. Perhaps you can talk her out of it. She readies her people below. An agent of Gadflow, and head witch knight of Cadsimir, one whose acts define him. Little is known of him, but this is not important. His actions here are a grim enough tale. They did not sense the changing of the tide as I did. They had no warning. The first of Gask's soldiers occupied the pass, severing Ashmore from Eventide, ending all communication between us. We of Ashmore retreated into these caverns and know not of what fate befell Eventide since. There are many good folk there, Bareth, Nell, and even Ordo. The enemy is out there. Victory will be yours. You're back. I was keeping an eye on you from a safe distance, to see if you would keep your promise. I am amazed. I dared not speak of it, but there are prophecies of a mortal who would herald our kind's passing. While the defeat of Gask will count as a victory against the madness of Gadflow, I wonder if it is a harbinger of darker nights ahead. Prophecies aside, you have done as I asked, and we, the clan of Ashmore, recognize you. Farewell.
I was hoping someone would come. Have you ever seen such things? Such violence? Such abominations! I cannot comprehend it. First the clan of Eventide and now Bareth. Beyond the Veil, no more slumbers in the Great Cycle. Gask and his soldiers cursed them with permanent rest. All gone but Bareth, Ordo, and me, that is. It was Bareth the Tuatha came for. They were led by a curious one named Cryamore. He coveted Bareth's knowledge of enchantment, how he charmed the beasts of Alabastra. But it was not Bareth himself that charmed the beasts. It was a pendant he wore that kept the Morgan from turning on him when he studied them. He wishes to add mortal beasts to Gadflow's ranks, an endless supply of living weapons, until only the Alfar, the Almeen and the Varani remain to oppose him. Someone must stop them. If not Bereth, then you or me. The Mergen are dangerous enough now, but imagine if the Tuatha commanded their numbers. I last saw Bereth as Crymore's men dragged him deep into the mine. Walk with a light foot. Acting while unseen will offer your best chance of survival. And try to use the anger of the Mergen against our common enemy. There's no other like him in all of Alabastra. His interest in other races, most notably those of the blue flesh, has yielded much understanding. But the Tuatha wish to exploit every trace of knowledge to their own ends, so the learned such as us are weapons to them. Thus they took Bereth, wishing to extract his knowledge by any means. Your kind call them Mergen, denizens of the sea and shore. They are violent, yes, and devious, but only out of self-preservation. The Tuatha have imprisoned them and turned their potential violent instincts into a barely controllable weapon of pure hate. Though it is part of Winter's decay, I feel that it is tragic. It is unnatural for Fae, seelie or unseelie, to take prisoners so like mortals. He is but a soldier, an officer. Such a blunt and ruthless mind could never appreciate Bareth's work, its subtlety, its sublimity. The clan of Eventide was all but returned to the Great Cycle by Tuatha soldiers. Most of our people would run behind the veil, and they were the fortunate ones. Ordo and I aided Bereth in his trials, procuring the creatures, preparing the chamber. But Ordo was a stubborn soul, proud. He departed Eventide before the Tuatha came. I only hope he is far from here, somewhere without bars and monsters. Goodbye. Crymor is gone, but so is Bereth. He did not deserve such an end. Do you hear me? He was a kind spirit. You are a friend to Eventide, even if few of its folk remain. Take this key. It will unlock hidden treasures of our clan. Any you find will be open to you. Thank you, mortal. Now go. Good luck.
I am surprised to see a mortal so far south, especially after what your kind has done. Before, there was balance. The Great Cycle cradled us all. Now there is only death and despair. Bareth was right about you. Your mortality is contagious. Hoping to assuage your mortal guilt? Of this I care not. But you have come at a fortuitous time. The Alfar armies bar any crossing their lines, stranding us here to die. But there is another route. The caverns lead north, taking us right under the Alfar without them even knowing. But the way is very dangerous. Our people will not wait much longer, and some have already gone on their own. I must help these remaining to escape, even if I die to make it so. The caverns of Twilight Pass were long ago seized by the Mergen. Their queens block the passages, spawning more of the beasts to hunt us down if we venture too close. It is a blessing that we've evaded them this long. You are, by my reckoning, a step closer to absolution. No sins are entirely unforgivable, not even those of mortals. Come, the tunnel is not long, but my people are weak and unfit for combat, and the Mergen are clever. Let's go. your bark. On behalf of the Ashmore survivors, I thank you, Martel. Now go. Others need you still. He was the wisest of us, the sage of Twilight Pass. His first lifetimes were spent as a House of Seasons guide, learning to trust the flow of the great cycle, to listen. But I have not glimpsed Barrett since the attack, and I fear for his safety. If you journey to Eventide, find him, for me. Barrett, it is sad to hear that he was met with such misfortune. He will be missed greatly by those of us who knew his work mattered. Now that the survivors have made it safely out of the cave, I will be staying with them to do whatever it takes to protect them. At one time, the clan of Eventide thrived, until the Tuatha marched through the pass, slaughtering its people and razing its places. It sickens me to think of all the destruction and malice he has brought to our people. Someday, he will be overcome. Perhaps I suppose it is possible by a mere child of dust such as you. So Gask is no longer a threat to us. I commend you, Martel. You are far more valuable to our cause than I had thought. It was one of the 3 summer houses tending to Fae memorials to prepare them for their renewal on this land. I don't know what has become of it now. Tuatha controlled the whole area. It saddens me to think how many of our land's treasures they have taken by now. See you again.
Agarth will not be far behind you. Neither of us saw any sign of Aelin Shear or Ventrinu. A scout on the ridge above saw the Tuatha mounting for a counterattack. You should hear what he has to say before we move on. If you'd rather not wait, talk with Agarth. Time is of the essence. The Pale Country, once the peaceful home to the Winter Court. Now Gadflow squats in her heart like a rot in the flesh. My homeland will not suffer this indignity. Together, we must extract the Tuatha, even if it means the end of my people. Bale, the icy heart of my people, with bridges of woven stone and ice. It sickens me to think of what Gadflow's people have done to it. Dren is the defender of the House of Pride. He may help the Tuatha, but he doesn't serve them. Legend says it was where the first alliance between enemies was formed. And we Fae do so love to repeat legends, don't we? Before Gadflow's rise, he was a battered whelp of a Fae. Now, his suffering has only added to his power. I hear he keeps a stable of trolls. But I can't be sure if they're his pets or his lovers. House of Pride, our shining beacon. Now its light is dim and faltering, but it still stands against the darkness, as it always has. Careful.
There you are. Good to see you here. Ready? I am but there hasn't been any sign of Aelin Shear or Ventrinio. Damn it all, I knew we couldn't trust her. I sent Ventrinio to keep an eye on her. He was sending me messages until recently. But there were fewer and fewer as we've gotten closer to Baal. We need to get through the House of Vengeance and kill the Cur. And we'll have to do it without them. He's the closest thing Vengeance has to a leader anymore. A face so consumed with hatred that he's little more than a beast. If you're going to get into Baal, the Cur has to die. We'll go as far as we can. Whatever is happening in Baal needs to be stopped as quickly as possible. Listen, you're more powerful than I ever was. If anyone can stop this, it's you. When you kill the Cur, you go into Baal and stop Gadflow. If we get separated, I'll keep fighting to keep an escape route open for you. Now go! Stay on guard.
You foolish mortals, listen well to advice in this tale of atrocities that we will tell. Horror awaits the fools who fell and languish behind arcane veil. Of own they sung, but now a god proclaimed enchanting song. They worship on their earthen sod, and bow their heads and pray and nod. Another name to bear their wrong. Flames of warlike engines roar and quake through heaven's path. In Gadflow's name they battle more. And then, despite the peace of yore, will murder neighbors in their wrath. They left you helpless and without hope, among the barren plains or searching for food on mountain slope, and finding only gallows rope. And then you thanked them for your pains. So these two sides are yours to choose, and the evils they put out. One to kill you without a ruse. One you're merely tools for their use. Either way, a foolhardy seat. As the sun is to the forest, Tirnoch is to the Fae of winter. Some embraced this new god, this break from the great cycle. Others hid in the darkest of places. Gadflow spoke of Tirnoch, and the Prismere emanated its power. It is a source of magic and hatred. It no longer slumbers beneath Amethen. The unbroken horizon of the winter is now the fiery haze of destruction.
My deepest apologies for not being able to join the battle. Ventrinia was something of a hassle. He attacked me. It was only a matter of time before his greed got the better of him. The closer we got to Bale, the more obsessed he became with Tiernok, and with harnessing Tiernok's power, just like Gadflow did. That's why he had to be stopped, and why we need to talk about our mission. I wasn't sure I could trust you. You're not the same person you used to be. We're running out of time. I'll explain as we go. Lead on. I'm right behind you.
The winter court was still as fallen snow as the jester danced and capered. Juggling knives and torches, he sang to his lords
Fighting
and
at your
ladies.
side, but just
None
like the old
smiled.
days, before
Not
he
an
died.
eyebrow raised as the snivelling jester imitated the king, not even when he took the crown from his head. Because this was the day that Gadflow murdered the winter court. This was the day the Tuatha were born, and our people became a sacrifice for tyranny.
You and I carry on a duty. This is no time to dawdle. Lead on. This is no time to dawdle. Here we are, in the heart of the enemy's defenses. And this time, I trust you not to fail. Somehow Gadflow found a way to reach out to Tiernok. Or perhaps she was able to seek out his twisted mind. She offered him power, and with it, he began the Tuatha. No wonder Gadflow thinks she's a god. Then Trinia was right. Tiernok is no god. She has almost as much power, and is every bit as dangerous to the world as any dark god. Her powers raised Gadflow from a jester to a warlord, and in return, his army would usher in a chance for her to enter this world and consume it. You're the one who stepped forward to stop Gadflow and the source of his power, even though fate said you were doomed to fail. This time, fate cannot control you. Lead on. I'm right behind you.
Since the alabaster wall was young, the beautiful bone-white forest was a place of peace and meditation. No piercing birdsong nor heated word could find its way between the branches. Quiet thought prevailed until Gadflow shattered our land. The Tuatha's crimson axes chopped the forest for arrow shafts, and Tiernok's prismere spires rose up to consume what remained. Now our forest is shattered, and screams of warfare fill its boughs.
When Gadflow's army arose, we recognized Tiernok's tainted influence. Only a force like her could warp eternal creatures like the Fae. So you came to infiltrate Alabastra, find Tiernok, and seal her away forever. And you used Ventrino to get in, under the guise of being his assistant.
The greatest heroes of winter have always fallen from the Bale's pale boughs, from Pietra the Keen to Hulgan the Hungry. When the Tuatha claimed dominance over us, heroes arose to defend winter. Gadflow laughed at their challenge and called up Tiernok's wrath. In a second, our most loyal heroes were impaled by prismere spires. Our heroes were gone, never to be reborn, and our people succumbed to Gadflow's madness.
When I found you in Dalentarth, when I saw you had come back to life, I wasn't sure how much you remembered. I couldn't be certain you would keep our secrets. I considered killing you then and there. Nothing personal. You would have done. When I saw you could change fate. I knew you were our only choice. So I helped you continue your mission to stop Tianok, even if you had forgotten it. But over time...
In happier times, the Winter Court would come here to bathe in the colours of the midnight gardens. Night violets and pale moonflowers blossomed on a field of bluest grass studded with frost. When stars aligned, the aurora borealis danced for the queen herself. But now the Tuatha have crushed the gardens and planted only corpses. The fruit of their tortured garden is only blood red.
And so, instead of an arcane age, Gadflow would have an endless winter. Not the winter of the Fae, but of Tirnoch's making. Gadflow has seen the visions of annihilation, of a blissful void across the world. It is not the will of Own, but against nature. The ageless decay of our people has become a weapon against yours. You, the Deathbringer and Siegebreaker, the usurper of fate and twice born, must become the Godslayer.
At long last, Gadflow has crushed the Winter Fae, and his Tuatha rules us usherly. No longer are we reborn into this world, unless his god Tirnoch wills it so. This monster has crushed us, and our kind shall pass from this world. But our memories might yet last. When Gadflow is gone, and his god is left for another people to ravage, I may be freed from my tomb, and then I may share what dreams we made. It is the only immortality any of us may hope for now.
Yeah, you were destined to die. This time, your destiny is up to you. This must have been a lot for you to take in at once. But I need you to be clear on who you are and what you need to do. A lot has changed since you were here last. It isn't going to be as easy this time. And last time it killed you. Oh, she's a creature with incredible power. A dragon. But she is no simple lizard in some child's tale. She has a power rivaled only by the gods. Thousands of years ago, the ancient Alpha sealed her in the Amethyst between this world and the world of magic. And there she went mad. As her prison weakened over time, she was able to tempt Gadflow into helping her gain enough power to break free. And if she escapes fully, it will mean the end of all mortal life. Tirnoch's revenge for tens of thousands of years of imprisonment. That's why people like you and I have dedicated our lives to keeping Tirnoch secret from the world. We were supposed to keep Tirnoch hidden from the world. Anyone who learned too much had to die. But when Gadflow found her, you were the one who volunteered to kill him and seal Tirnoch away once more, even though you were fated to fail. It took every trick we had to get you here the first time, and you still died. I don't know if you plan to be resurrected, but knowing you, I wouldn't be surprised. Everyone who knows the truth of Tirnoch will be dead, and Tirnoch will be sealed away once again. We can return to our duty of keeping the knowledge secret, assuming that's the life you want to return to. But if you refuse, then I'd have to make sure you never tell the truth about Tirnoch. Of course, I'd rather it didn't come to that. but you would have done the same. Huh. I have more important things to do than love. And so do you. But I do trust you with the fate of my world. It may not set your heart aflutter to hear it, but it'll have to do. Lead on. I'm right behind you.
You don't understand, do you? The power of Tirnoch. Yes! Return to your grave!
An illusion. Something's not right. If Gadflow isn't here, then he must be hiding further underground, someplace closer to the source of the Prismere. Definitely. The war's not over yet. Whatever bargain Gadflow made with Tirnoch, it's about to pay off. When that happens, the world will not be spared her wrath. In the heart of Alabastra is the former unseelie city of Baal. Beneath the Winter King's court, there is the cave of Amathin. It's a place of tremendous power. It is where Tirnoch is imprisoned, and where you died. We were two of the people who were supposed to keep Tirnoch hidden from the world. Anyone who learned to, but when Gadflow found, it took every trick we had to get you here the first. Let's go. Tirnoch is held captive deep in the Amathin, but her prison is weakening by the moment.
I feel you here again, full of life, full of fate. What have you brought for me?
I can feel Tirnoch's eyes upon us.
You've used your power well. So much potential. Let's have a taste, shall we?
She just tore out a part of the fates you've stolen and turned it against you. Perhaps it is not inaccurate to think of her as a god.
I have been imprisoned here since before your kind emerged from the dark. But now, my freedom draws near.
We cannot let Gadflow free Tirnoch.
Gadflow's prayers weakened this prison, but he is not the one who will set me free.
Don't listen. You're the only one who has the power to stop her.
When you first came to me, death was your only fate, but I knew better use for you. And you were so eager to play your role.
You chose this? What does she mean by that?
I gave you freedom, and now you have returned to grant me mine.
Only you have the power to reseal Tirnoch inside the Amathin. I must keep the secret of her existence from the world. Once Tirnoch is pushed back into her prison, these caverns must be sealed. But that leaves one question. Can I trust you to keep Tirnoch's secret? There are things in this world that must remain hidden. If the power of the dragons were widely known, Well, you've seen what has happened here. Gadflo tapped a fraction of her power. He upset the great cycle of the Fae and waged a genocidal war on the young races. Just coming in contact with her power managed to free you from fate's bonds. And if you can turn that freedom against her, she will have no power over Amalur. Nothing like you has ever existed before. As always, there's no way of knowing your future. If you're victorious, it may be the last time you change the fate of the world. Even if you fall back into fate's weave once her influence is gone from this world, it will be a far better fate than what Tiernok's emergence would bring. That is excellent. After all that you've done, it would have been a shame for you to die a second time. If you do escape, I will be watching you. And know this, anyone who learns the truth of what happens here, I will silence myself. Go. Stop Tiernok from fully entering this world. But remember, my blades will always be at your back. Tiernok's power is immense. She just tore off a splinter of what you could have been and turned it against you. When she killed you, that much power must have torn you free of the entire tapestry of fate. Let's go. There's no turning back now.
Come, Fate Weaver, bring me your power. Sacrifice yourself and seal the fate of your world.
It's time to choose your fate. Amethin lies beyond. This is where the dragon will breach the veil.
Come forward, mortals. Behold the birth of Tiernok. Attend your final hour.
My fate does not lie beyond those doors. You alone may change what is to come. Go!
How does it feel, I wonder, to return to this place? Does the pain of your death still linger? Can you feel it echo through the air? And now, in this place, you shall witness the birth of Tiernok, the destruction of the Alpha, and the dawn of the endless winter. She comes. Tiernok the powerful, Tiernok the merciful. Qualla fella Tiernok, qualla sera Tiernok. Tiernok? Have I done well, lady? Are you pleased? Is it...
You have served your purpose.
But I have so much more to give.
Come closer. Give yourself to me. Ordo shall crumble and fall before me. Yes! Struggle, fight, and die, just as you did before. Little creature, your freedom from fate is nothing to me. You are nothing but dust. Why won't you die? Soon your world's fate will be my feast. Impossible!
How could we have known that this would be a new beginning? I wonder now if we should have foreseen this outcome, but who knew then what fate would bring? I would have liked to have delivered this message in person, to see you one final time. That, however, would have been complicated. The order to which I belong had other plans. Were you ever to leave the crystalline fortress? When it comes to you, though, it seems no fate is written in stone. It was only through my assurances that your silence could be counted upon that either one of us still draws breath. I trust you will not make of me a liar. Were stories of what we have seen to begin to surface in the inns and taverns of Amalur, I would be asked to seek you out. And as we both know, The next time you die, there will be no return. But let us not speak of this. Your life is your own. Go now, and see what fate may bring you, or what fate you may bring. Perhaps one day in happier times, you and I will meet again. Until that day, I remain yours, Aelin Shear.
Well, well, awake at last. You gave us quite a scare. But you're here and the war's all but over. So who are we to complain? I was hoping you could tell us. Sidon and I were fighting a few remaining stragglers when all of a sudden they started this unholy wailing. I guess you must have killed Gadflow, because the Tuatha started screaming and ran away. There are still a few diehards, but they don't have the fire in them, you know? Wasn't much longer before Aelin showed up carrying you over her shoulder. Told me to watch over you, make sure you were okay. She left some kind of note for you, but I know better than to read a private message from the likes of her. There are still Tuatha who refuse to surrender, but yes, the war is ended. You should have seen the parade in Rathir. As for what's next, well, that's a tough question. See, a lot of the soldiers asked me for readings after the fighting ended, and try as I might, I can't see a fate for any of us. Tirnoch, you don't expect me to think that Gadflow's god was real, do you? No. No, impossible. Whatever happened down there, though, it changed everything. At least for now. I've been a lot of things in my life. A hero and a heartbreaker. A fate weaver and a failure. All at the cruel hands of fate. Until you came along, I never had a choice in what I was. Thank you for that. First she works with us, then she betrays us, then she saves your life. I admit I don't know what to make of that woman, but I feel like we owe her. Not that I'd know how to find her, or pay her back for that matter. I've heard legends about it, but supposedly it's a deep cave beneath Bale, either for the Winter King's meditation, or where they emerge after they die. Last I saw him, Sidon was mourning at the House of Sorrows. I can't imagine what his people are going through. If you see him, give him my regards. The Winter Fae were a decent people. They didn't deserve what Gadflow did to them. Well, ever since you came back from Alabastra, I cannot read a place in the Weave for anyone. Whatever you did, it didn't just win the war. It's given us all a chance to make our own destinies. Whatever you did to him, Gadflow is truly dead and gone. Sidon says he won't be reborn, although I don't know how he can be so sure. You've all but ended the war, and you've surely changed its destiny. Every mortal in the Feylands owes you thanks. Sure, there are still Tuatha left here and there, but they've got no leader, and they don't pose half the threat they used to. There are still plenty of Tuatha, but without Gadflow to give them the word of Tirnoch, they've gone mad. So the gnarled madman didn't make it out of Alabastra? I can't say I'm choked up over the loss.
Good morning, ma'am. Good to see you up and out of your quarters. This here is the lower hall of the Orbicant. The Council has granted this rare honor in light of all you've done for us, for all of Alfar kind. They have also allowed me to offer you access to the Reserve Armory, if you would care to have a look. Ah yes, it was she who brought you here, you know. Stood by your bed for almost a day, then left suddenly on urgent business. But that has always been her way. I can't show you the upper halls or the council chambers, I'm afraid. But you are welcome here in the lower hall, and it is my special pleasure to offer you access to the Reserve Armory. The quarters you slept in where you recovered were once assigned to the late General Talera. They are yours now, should you ever wish to use them. Rare weapons and so forth, procured for Rathir's leaders and defenders, they must still be paid for, I'm afraid. But please, have a look for yourself. I do hope your stay's been restored.
That Baroni oaf leaves mud on the floor.